What?
Hello!
Welcome to Fantasy Top 5.
We're here.
We're back.
We're back. My name is Eric.
My name is Sean. Allegedly.
His name is Lane. No one asked us, but we're telling you anyway.
Yeah.
Um.
This guy did say good evening, so I feel like he kind of asked us
Oh.
if the evening was good.
And then he asked if this is the channel for the Dallas Cowboys. We'll talk about them, and we will answer fantasy questions for the Dallas Cowboys later on after we do our segments. So it's not the channel, but it is
A
a
channel.
channel. We are the channel for fantasy football and for good times
Yes, I will agree with that.
and for cool people. Okay, I'm going to stop
yep.
now. We're the channel for something.
Here's the line. Here's you.
I don't know where I'm going. But stick around. We will talk about the Dallas Cowboys. You can ask us questions about the Dallas Cowboys and the Bears and anyone you have on your fantasy team, and we will answer them correctly, and we will have a good time.
That's a guarantee.
It's a guarantee. So how was your weekend, Sean? I
It
didn't
was-
see you, which was really weird because normally every Sunday we hang out all day and
Yeah.
watch every game on Red Zone and fantasy it up.
Yeah.
And this time we didn't, so it was really weird. I
Yeah,
feel
it
like
was weird. We both had stuff. You had a family thing. I had a
Yeah,
kind of a
it's-
family thing. So
Yeah, so when I make up stuff about the games, it's because I didn't watch them. Just ignore it. Go ahead and believe it.
Yeah, can you believe the Jets blew out the 49ers? Insane.
Oh, I watched that.
I know, crazy. Oh, what? What?
Well, I was kind of half paying attention.
Oh, Lane just told us that the 49ers actually won the Jets. So
Good thing he
that's,
watched
yeah,
it.
he's on it.
And so yeah, so we still have some good info. This is we don't quit.
Yeah, we'll make stuff up if we have to, but we will do well for you.
So anyone who doesn't know who we are, we're Fantasy Top 5. We have a podcast and a live stream that we do an hour before the Monday and Thursday night games, where we answer all your fantasy questions.
You can put those questions on Twitter at Fantasy Top
at
5.
Fantasy Top 5 on our website, fantasytop5.com. All this is spelled out, F-I-V-E. At our Justin TV chat, you can come in and chat with us, hang out,
Party.
party. Yeah, we party in here. And you can, we have a Tumblr. We have a lot of things.
Yeah, we have a Tumblr, we have a Twitter, we have a Facebook. All of them are Fantasy Top 5, so you shouldn't have a lot of trouble finding us.
We're in iTunes and in most podcast apps. I actually was just looking, and we're in a German directory. We have people coming to our website from some German podcast.
Yeah, the Germans
Yeah, I
love
got us everywhere.
They were all about
They
it.
do. They love fantasy American football.
They're like, oh, Scheiße, football. I don't.
It was an awful impression, but
I thought it was.
I like
thought it was
it.
good.
I like it. I'm not going to attempt one that's any better. So yeah, we do a lot of different segments. We tell you who to pick up and who to drop. We tell you some big surprises and disappointments of the week, and we also talk about newses and bruises,
Yeah.
which is your news and injury report here from Fantasy
It's
Top
usually a
5.
pretty sad report. It's always negative, and that sucks. But
Sometimes
that's what
the news
injuries
is
are.
positive. I feel like the first news story is extremely positive for me.
All right, let's do it. See
First
it.
news story: L.A. City Council approves Farmer Stadium.
What?
Which was the last major step to getting a team in LA besides actually having a team.
And why is this
That was the
exciting for
last.
you?
Because I'm a huge fan of LA.
Of LA? Oh, I thought you were gonna.
And I'm a huge fan of football in LA.
Oh,
And I'm a huge fan of the Los Angeles Rams. I don't even call them the St. Louis Rams because
because they'll be back
they're coming back.
sooner than later. It looks like.
So I'm hoping that the Rams come. I don't know if they will for sure. They've been talking about the Bills lately as a team that may show up. It looks like the Vikings may be out of it. It looks like Jacksonville and the Chargers may be out of it. The Raiders looks like they may be out of it.
Yeah.
Looks like it's down to the Rams and the Bills. I think they should just have a playoff game, and whoever wins.
Yeah, and the thing is, I
I think
they're-
the Rams can do. No, I don't know.
I think they'll
Fitzpatrick
go
played
with-
pretty well.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I think they're gonna go with the Rams because the Rams are. The
Well, my
Rams.
favorite thing
They're
about
not
the story-
The Bills. Buffalo is crazy. They will have riots if the Bills leave.
I think the people will be upset if the Rams leave. But the other thing, and this makes me happy. I'm not out in L.A., so I can't join, or else I would. But they did this stadium approval, and all these people could show up. And in every one of these news stories, they talk about a huge group of people with the gold and blue jerseys showing up, which is good because they do have a big fan base out there. I mean, we
Yeah, they
went
do.
to the Raiders-Rams game 2 years ago.
And there was a ton of Rams fans.
Ton of
there.
Rams fans, and all of them live in the Oakland Bay Area, and most of them like the Rams because
Yeah, they grew up
they grew up
loving
in
the Rams.
California,
Yeah.
or that's why I like them. My dad grew up in L.A., and so I mean, I think it's a logical choice for them to come back. I mean, the Chargers did play there, the Raiders played there. I think there's teams like Jacksonville that probably wouldn't be horribly missed, but I'm hoping it's the Rams.
All right,
So
cool.
it's pretty exciting, but they need a team. It was all approved, except for a team. Number 2 news story: Chris Johnson has an actual game, and against the Texans, which is kind of
Absurd.
yeah.
best.
Of all the games, you would think.
Against the one of the best defenses in the league. It's just, I don't know. He's Chris Johnson.
Yeah, I don't know how many people started him. I should have looked that up because it's kind of interesting to see if people actually started him or not. But I don't want it because now people are going to start asking again about Chris Johnson.
And it's so hard because it's like he's one of those guys you really can't predict. It obviously doesn't matter if the defense is good because the Texans' defense is good.
Oh, they
And
killed
he's
it.
went against some bad defenses and just done terrible. So I don't know if they switched their scheme up, if maybe the Texans were playing the pass because of how well Locker and the passing game did the week before. But either way, Chris Johnson looked like CJ 1.5K at least. So he's looking like he's on his way back. So we'll see.
Yeah, it was good enough news for me to put it in here.
Yeah.
Number 3, the Vikings defeat the Lions. And the reason this is so awesome is because they are now the top of the NFC North division,
Yeah, and they
which we went through all the divisions in our pre-season podcasts.
Yeah, the
And
quick
I
quick
think, all
story, the
put
Vikings
fourth.
and the Cardinals were both fourth in the ones that we picked. So we know football.
Yeah,
That's what I'm saying.
Well, that's my next one is the Falcons, Texans, and Cardinals are all undefeated, 4-0. And the Saints and the Browns are 0-4.
Run the table, baby.
Which is crazy because I can see the Falcons and Texans being 4-0. That makes perfect sense. And I can see the Browns being 0-4. But I feel like the Cardinals and Saints should switch places.
Yeah, it is
Doesn't seem
quite
like-
bizarre to see the Saints at 0-4 and to see the Saints at 0-4 with they literally just keep getting chances to win games and they can't do it. Like Drew Brees is still Drew Brees. He still looked good this season. He's still making passes. He's still getting touchdowns.
He had a really
But,
good game,
yeah, it's
which we'll
just-
talk about with the stats
Yeah.
later on. He had a really good game, but they still. I mean, and I think they had a chance to win it. I thought they had it. I thought they were going to win it for a few seconds there, and then they didn't.
Yeah, they they sure didn't.
As you can go look up and tell, they didn't win. And my 5th news story is Rashard Mendenhall is set to return this week. Just like you said, you talked about how they'd probably be back after the bye week. They'd probably hold him off before the bye. They had the bye this last week, and they're coming back. So
With it being week 5 now, like he's had a decent amount of time to recover, and Mendenhall being back is nothing but great for the Steelers. The
yeah, they
Steelers
need it.
have had a lot of issues, and he's going to help. The passing game's been strong, but he's going to help it out with them actually having a running game because no one else there has done anything. Redmond hasn't. Pete hasn't. Like, they're just awful.
That's true. Redmond was okay last year, but
He hasn't been this year, though, but he's hurt, too. And Mendenhall's I wouldn't lie and say Mendenhall is one of my favorite guys, but he's better than what they got.
Oh yeah, he's not. He's like top 15,
Yeah, he's.
sometimes around top 10, but he's not. I mean, it's not.
But a lot of that's based on the work that he was getting. Like, they run the ball a lot there. At least they used to before he was hurt. So, yeah,
It'll be good for them to have him back.
Yeah,
It'll be really good. I
definitely
think it'll
help
the
him
whole
out.
team. All right, so we'll move on to the bruises. The first one I have here is Julio Jones, who put up an awful game.
On my
Um,
fantasy team.
Yeah, he did not do very well. Apparently, he was hindered by his injured right hand. So keep an eye on that. I mean, he did play, and he didn't even say anything. He didn't even say that he was injured before
Yeah.
actually coming out. So I don't know how serious it is, but it was enough for him to get an awful fantasy.
Yeah, he did
game.
nothing. But he didn't need to with Roddy White going crazy.
Yeah. That was a crazy game because I thought they had it. I really thought Cam Newton played well, which was
Yeah, he
good
did.
because I was I started him, but I was really hesitant. I even told a few people, I'm starting him, but I don't know. If there's ever a game he's going to have a bad one, it's this one, but I can't sit him, and I am so glad I started him. Carolina looked incredible. He got like 30 something points, and I thought they had it. And then Roddy White and Matty Ice just went insane.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, they were down like 4.
And they just
And
came
then-
back.
They were down 4, got down, and kicked a field goal. And I'm like, field goals aren't worth 4; they're worth 3. You're still down a point. And then they came back and kicked another field goal. I was like, oh yeah, I guess 2 of them do add up to 6.
Yeah.
I guess that's 2 ahead of 4. Sorry, my math was a little off. When
They
I was,
knew Roddy White could get him back in field goal range with 1 catch, no matter where they're at on the field.
that was exactly that's
Yeah, he's incredible.
That 1 catch, and it was like, oh, okay, well, you guys know more than I do.
Yeah, it's hard because
About
I have
this
Roddy
game of
White on
football.
one team and I have Julio Jones on one team, and the team that Roddy White is on, I'm number 1 in the league. The team that Julio Jones is on, I'm basically the end of the league. So, yeah.
See, and this is what we were talking about before the podcast. Is Roddy White didn't have the best year last year, but because Julio Jones just went off last year, and so I wasn't, and I picked him up really high last year. I think is also why I was really angry at him. But this year you probably got him a little bit later.
He was still pretty high. Like,
Third or
I think he was
fourth.
top 5 receiver.
Yeah. But I picked him up over like everyone else, like Calvin Johnson. I was really high on him because I had him the year before, and I just really liked him. And then Julio Jones, but this year it looks.
Well, at
to
least this
be-
year you went away from him and went with Calvin Johnson, so it's still working out for you.
And then this year I went with Calvin Johnson. I solely based off of that, I believe, and he is not doing what I like.
Which is catching passes at all.
So depressing, and the Lions look awful because of it.
Yeah.
All right, so number 2, Jake Locker, the Tennessee Titans, has a shoulder injury. I guess an MRI found no structural damage. As to his non-throwing shoulder, but he did come out in a sling, and Hasselbeck looked pretty good. So definitely keep an eye on him if you have him.
But Hasselbeck's just as injury prone, so they need to get him back.
That's true. Number 3 is Greg Jennings with the groin injury, which is the same groin injury he's been dealing with for a while. So it looks like he was moving forward, and now it looks like it set him back a few weeks. So he, if I had to guess right now, probably will not be available, which that's why we'll talk about our pickups later.
Yeah, and this will help out Randall Cobb, and it'll help out James Jones, which
James
James
Jones.
Jones looked pretty solid last game. And Cobb isn't getting the fantasy points. I keep thinking he's going to, but he's doing good, but not great. And James Jones is doing better than I thought he would, because last year it seemed like James Jones would have a few good games, but it was
Mhm.
all on one broken play.
Yep.
And he's actually been there for him this year. So they still have an explosive offense without Greg Jennings. So I wouldn't be surprised if this teaches them a lesson about not rushing him back, and they go and let him sit out 2 to 3 games, if not more. So Greg Jennings owners should probably start looking on the waiver wire for someone.
Yeah, they should. Which is why we'll tell you who to pick up later. Santonio Holmes had that crazy play where he was running, fell down, and then threw the ball up in the air, which I feel like, and then the other team, and then the 49ers picked it up and ran it back for a touchdown. But I feel like if you get injured, I feel like you should be able to throw the ball. I feel like you should be able to do whatever you want. If you get injured, you should be able to punch people. You should be able to throw the ball at people, throw them at coaches, refs. You should be able to do what you're injured, for God's sake. You're in a lot of pain right now. People should not be able to go get touchdowns while you're sitting there injured. They should
Yeah.
stop the whole game. They should come over and like give you a pillow. They should like give you some nice cold iced tea or something. You're
My God.
injured.
Or you could just, if you're
Am I-
really
am I-
injured, you can just drop to the ground and not throw the ball. Wait for someone to touch you and then get off the field. But
Maybe
Holmes
I'm too
is
sentimental.
Holmes.
Maybe I'm
Yeah.
just too. Maybe I'm too touchy feely right now.
Maybe.
I just feel bad for the guy. No, I just feel like if you drop to the ground, I went a little extreme there, but I feel like if you drop to the ground, you should be able to give up the ball to hold your leg if it hurts. And I don't think that should be. Someone shouldn't have to come up and touch you before, because I don't want someone touching me. That's another thing. If my leg hurts, get away from me.
Yeah.
So I don't
guess that
know.
makes
I think
sense.
that's a rule they should change. His X-rays came back negative, but he They don't have a lot of information on it right now. So in the Thursday show, we'll probably update you on that one as well. And the number 5th is kind of more just funny than anything else. Nandi Asamoah got poked in the eye during the game. It was funny because they said that he went to the hospital.
And then 5 minutes later, he's
5
back.
minutes later, he was out on the field. They're like, where's the hospital?
Yeah.
Is it just in the back?
Which the funniest thing to me with that was that prompted the announcers to say, well, we don't have a hospital here. We do have a jail, though. We don't have a hospital in the stadium. I'm like, what? I know Philadelphia's intense, but you got a hospital, a jail there, and not any medical attention at all, which is awesome.
So I think he's fine. There's probably more important news to put there, but I thought it was funny, so I went with it.
Yeah, that's a good story.
All right, there we go. Newses and bruises.
All right. Oh, also really quick with that Nnamdi thing. He was able to come back, and he may have won them the game because his coverage
Yeah.
on I'm blanking on his name.
Ramses Barden?
Yeah,
Was that-
yeah, I think it was
did
Barden.
the offensive.
Yeah, his coverage on him, he got in his way so much that Barden wasn't able to do anything other than pull him down to get him there, and then that's what put them out of field goal range. Like you see the replay, the kick is like this much from going over.
I wanted to put that in the news as well. I really wanted him to. I didn't really want him to make it, but I just hate that. I absolutely hate the whole ice the kicker thing.
Well, he missed the other one
It's
too,
ridiculous. Yeah, he missed both of them.
didn't he? Yeah. So
But that second one, I'm like, God, you guys have got to stop icing the kicker because it's been proven it does not work. And whenever they miss one, it's just brutal because they miss the one and they're like, okay, well, I see what I did wrong there. Thanks for giving me another shot
Yeah.
at it. That was a nice practice. Let me nail this one. And then it goes through and it makes the coach look like an absolute idiot.
Yeah, it's dumb.
It's like just let him do it. It's better than giving him a practice shot, in my opinion.
Yeah, it really is because then they line it up. If they had something to work out, they can work it out.
It's crazy.
All right, let's move over to the top 5 surprises and disappointments of the week. My number 1 surprise of the week was the Miami Dolphins passing game. It was awesome against a very, very good Cardinals defense.
I thought they had it won. I did. I
Yeah.
thought Miami had the game won.
And
I
they
was
should
stoked.
have. Like, it was insane. Tannehill had 431 yards passing. He had a touchdown. He did have 2 interceptions, but still, he had over 400 yards on a great defense. That
That's the thing
obviously
is, I
means-
put in there. I put Tannehill's going to look awful, and he didn't.
Yeah,
look
I
awful.
thought he was going to look awful, too.
It turns out he actually is better than Brady and who else did Atlanta play that they shut down? Peyton Manning. Yeah, that was who I put in the Thursday show. I said that Atlanta's going to make Tannehill look awful compared to him, and no, Tannehill was like, "What up? I'm better
The
than you
Cardinals.
guys."
The Cardinals. That's who they were playing.
Who did I say?
Atlanta.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got confused. Yeah, you were right there. It
Yeah.
was so there was Brady and let's just stick on this weird thing forever.
Yeah.
All right, I'm just gonna keep going with what
Let
I
me
was
look.
saying.
I have everything here. It was Brady and
All right. Well, while you're looking that up, Hartline also had 12 catches for 253 yards and a touchdown. Devon Bess had 7 catches for 123 yards. They were far from flawless, like the 2 interceptions, like I said, but they were doing good enough to have the game won, and then they had to do the Dolphins thing and piss it away at the end. So that was a big
Crazy.
surprise to me. And then,
Vic.
oh yeah, Vic.
It was
Yeah.
when they played, the Eagles.
And then, all right, so my number 2 surprise of the week was the Patriots running game. They had 2 running backs over 100 yards. Brandon Bolden had 137 and a touchdown.
Which, yeah, he kind of... I mean, we saw him a little bit last week, but not really.
But he looks like he's going to be that power back. And then Ridley had 106 yards and 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and I started him, and I questioned it. I took him out like 4 times and put him back in. And the game started, and I said, all right, well, I think I've lost this one. And I think he single-handedly won me that.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, it looks like they don't even need Green. Like I thought they'd be missing Green Ellis, and it looks like they don't even need him because they have the speed with Ridley, and then they have the power with Bolden, and they're just
And they have Woodhead to kind of do some weird random stuff.
yeah. So
I
it's
don't know what he does, but he's just out there running around and getting touchdowns.
yeah, it was insane to watch. And then they even had a nice little 4-yard scamper by Tom Brady there for a touchdown.
That was crazy.
my God. Like, I watched him running in, and I was literally like, they slow-moing this? Didn't you slow-mo on? Because
He's a professional athlete. Does he not run? Does he
Yeah.
not go on runs? Does he not go to the gym? Like, how do you look that awkward running the ball? When
yeah,
you,
it is
'Cause
weird.
Tom Brady's not an ugly, awkward, like chubby dude running it in. He looks pretty fit, and then he runs, and it's like, what's wrong with you?
It is. Yeah, it was
What's
wrong
wrong with
but
that? Why does that look so awkward?
yeah, really awkward. And that's the thing is, needless to say, they rolled past the Bills. Like the Bills let them run all over them.
Except the Bills look really good. I mean, they were
offensively
21-7 at one point. It was 14-7. And I think the Bills scored a touchdown, and then Brady was.
and then
not having
52
that
to
anymore.
28. He finally got me a good
Ridiculous.
game though, 30 something points.
A lot of it was Gronk kept dropping passes. He dropped like 2 or 3 in the beginning. I think he was thinking about that porn star again.
Yeah.
So I had to call him up and be like, dude, we can think about her later.
We.
You gotta
You both
you
can.
got a game to win here, and I got you on my team. And so he's like, oh yeah, oh
It's
yeah,
like, oh my bad, homie.
oh yeah, I'll let Brady know, and I'll start catching some of these. So then he started catching them all, and
And like I said, Gronk
touchdowns.
is their key to doing good, and Gronk killed it.
He's incredible.
Now moving to the my third surprise of the week, and Eric kind of already went over it, but Chris Johnson, insane. Just when you feel comfortable sitting CJ2K, he kills it and gets 141 rushing yards against the first or second best defense. Well, maybe I don't know about the Cardinals. It's hard to say, but like one of the top 5 defenses in the league
They are
for
the
sure.
best. They have the most fantasy points.
The Texans or the Cardinals?
The Texans.
Oh, okay.
I
And
looked it up earlier.
yeah, and he didn't score a touchdown in the game, but considering how bad he did the first 3 weeks, this is just enough to let Chris Johnson be like, "Hey, you wanted to sit me? Have a good time with that. Let's see you do this." Now give him
my
3 more weeks
gosh.
of doing awful, and then week 8 he'll do good again.
It was also frustrating because we had someone ask us, should I pick him up? And I said, yeah, pick him up. Don't play him. And then he turns around and he asks us on Twitter, which the guy was the man. He's like, I picked up Chris Johnson. I picked up, what was it, Ryan Williams?
Yeah.
And I traded them both for McCoy, and I was stoked. So I told him he was my hero, and now he's probably going to be like, wow.
If he's watching right now or he listens later, I would still be happy with getting McCoy.
Oh, yeah.
Like McCoy is going to be consistent. He's going to be a consistent like 15 plus points a game. CJ2K just don't be surprised next week when he does awful. Like he's a joke. Like
Or be surprised if he has another huge 20-point game.
yeah, and don't
And just to make everyone hate him even more. At this point, when he has a good game, people are hating him more. Just
well, yeah, because everyone put him on the bench. He had less fantasy points in his first 3 weeks combined than this week. Like it's just awful. But I will move to my fourth surprise of the week, which was the Vikings DST, who carried them to a win over the Lions on Sunday.
Crazy.
Starting with Percy Harvin returning the opening kickoff, 105 yards
that
for a
was
touchdown.
so awesome.
Yeah, and
Start
he
up
just
red zone and
smoked
that
them.
happens, and it's like, this is going to
Yeah.
be a good football day.
Yeah, 2 seconds in, like he's just like, "Meow." And then he sounded like a cat. I don't know why. But then Marcus Shrails, I don't know if I'm saying that right, scored a punt return early in the third quarter, and these were the only 2 touchdowns the Vikings scored, the only 2, and that was enough to win the Lions and, like Eric said earlier, become the number 1 in that division over the Packers. Well, maybe they might be tied with the Bears if the Bears pulled out today.
Yeah.
And then over the Lions, which the Lions are 1-3. I don't know what's going on with them. But yeah, the Vikings are looking like they have they have good defense, good offense, and good special teams. They just need to bring them all 3 every week, and they'll be a solid contender out there. All right, and then moving over to my 5th surprise of the week, I have Anquan Bolden. And the main reason I put Anquan Bolden on here is because I had been down on him. I had told a couple people not to play him because it seems like they're going towards Jones and Torrey Smith in the offense. And then they've also been splitting Ray Rice out and doing some interesting stuff with him. And they also been going to Pitta a lot. and it just seems like they're phasing him out. He's just kind of a guy to get coverage off to the side, and then he comes
It's
out.
depressing because I have his jersey.
Yeah, and
And
it's
then
also
he
depressing
didn't
because
really-
Bolden is
When he
great.
joined the team, I was so stoked.
Yeah, when he left the Cardinals, it was like, well, good luck now, Fitz. You don't have another guy to drag coverage over there. And for a couple years, that was true. Like Bolden's a talented guy, and yeah, he had 9 catches, 131 yards on the Browns on Thursday night. And the Browns' defense hasn't been great, but they haven't been awful either. And that combined total that Bolden had was more than he'd had in his first 3 games combined, yards wise, anyways. And that's the thing is, I feel like I'm a little unsure if this is something we can count on, but I really think there's a chance it could be. You can't just sit Bolden now because they're going to start double teaming Smith because Smith is burning people deep, and then Jones is also coming in and burning people. It's hard to cover him one-on-one sometimes, and then Bolden is doing great, and then Pitt is doing good. So basically, what this makes happen is the Ravens are good. They've looked good passing the ball this year. Flacco is still Flacco. He's still going to make mistakes. But he's got enough weapons now that they look at Ray Rice's scores throughout. He's not scoring the touchdowns because he doesn't have to. Like they're going other directions, and it's finally working for them. So the Ravens offense is basically stacked now. They
Yeah,
have
they
all
look
the
really
pieces
good.
in place, and if they can stay healthy, then I think they're going to be a passing team from here on out with the ability to run on you, and that's dangerous. So
Yeah.
that's awesome for the Ravens and awesome for Bolden. All right, now we're going to move over to the disappointments of the week. And number 1 is also the Dolphins on this one, and this is the Dolphins' inability to finish games. 2 weeks in a row, they had games won multiple times, and both games went into overtime, and both games they managed to find a way to lose. Like, it's insane. Like, I both games, I'm like, all right, they got it. Game 1, to go back to what Eric has been saying about freezing the kicker, and I think I've been saying as well, don't freeze a kicker. The game against the Jets, they froze the kicker as the Dolphins defense blocked the kick. You
Yep.
have the game if you don't let that happen. But they freeze the kicker, and then the kicker makes it on the second try. And then yesterday's game, they had multiple chances to take it down and finish the game because the Cardinals got the ball first. Their defense stopped them, and then they got the ball back. So at that point, you can just take it down. You can kick a field goal because the rule is just both teams have to have the ball, and they just couldn't do it. And that's the thing is, if they can get it going, the Dolphins can be a legitimate threat in the AFC, really, because the AFC is a mess right now. The NFC is the one with most of the powerhouse teams. The AFC is the Ravens and the Texans, and that's it. I know all you Patriots fans tell me how dumb I am. Patriots is so good. Like, they have a flawed offensive line, and I think that they can be beat, and I think people know how to beat them. So the Dolphins could be really good. They just need to get it all going. And then
Ryan Tannehill did look good, though. He set like a whole bunch of records. I'm just looking up right here to see what they are. He came 1 yard short of setting an all-time NFL record. But he shattered the rookie record set by Dan Marino in 1983. They were talking about it, and I'm like, wow. Maybe
Yeah.
Tannehill isn't
he's looked better.
a joke.
Like, he's
Maybe
looked a lot better. And it's
1 yard short of setting all-time NFL rookie record, I think, for passing yards.
yeah, and
And
he has
then as far
another
as the team.
and he has some games that are winnable coming up. So I think the Patriots will be the one, obviously, that makes it to the playoffs out of that division just because of how bad the other teams have made themselves look. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Dolphins go 8-8. Like, they have a good team, and they have a great defense. And it looks like their offense is taking the steps to move forward, so that's exciting. And then my second disappointment of the week, which was a huge disappointment because I'm a fan as well, is the Raiders' defense against the Broncos on Sunday. They looked awful. Peyton Manning threw for 338 yards and 3 touchdowns.
Yeah. I did tell everyone
Yeah, you did tell
that-
everyone.
that Manning is going to look like old Manning. He's going to look like a top 5 quarterback,
Yeah, and this is
and he proved it.
yeah, and then before I go into Well, I'll just jump into this. I agree with Eric on all of that besides, I think, the gist of it, which I agree with most of it. Eric knew he was going to have a big game, and I think that's because Eric is smart enough to know how dumb NFL coaches are. And the fact that no one's adjusting for the fact that Manning doesn't have a deep ball anymore. You can watch the highlights from yesterday's game. Most of the stuff that they did was off of slants and off of that same damn screen that they've been running all year. The Raiders come up and push bump and run coverage. He's going to throw interceptions. Look at the Falcons game. It's
That's
a
what
joke.
Peyton's wanting you to think. And then as soon as defenses come in, bam.
All right, well, here's my
long
point.
ball touchdown. Just wait for it.
Yeah, well, here's my point, and I put this in my notes. Prove it. Make him prove it. He's not. Is he going to win a division based on no one forcing him because of his reputation?
He's too good.
It's a reputation. People are letting him, and everyone's giving these guys space. Thomas and Decker, neither one of those guys are the fastest guys in the NFL, and people are treating them like they are. They're giving them 12-yard cushions when it's 3rd and 6. It's like, are you kidding me? They're obvious. Peyton Manning's smart enough to be like, if you're going to give me 6 yards, I'm going to get the first down. And then also McGahee looked awesome against them. He had 112 yards and a touchdown.
He did.
But that's what McGahee does. McGahee has good games against the Raiders. I don't know what it is about it, but he always has a good game against the Raiders. And it's not just because I'm a Raiders guy. I've watched all the games with Manning in them, and Manning doesn't go deep anymore. And when he tries to, it turns into a duck after 25 yards, and people intercept it. You have to get up and bump him. I don't know when. He plays the Ravens at some point. Did he already play the Ravens? Did he play the Ravens soon? Because the Ravens, I think, will pressure him, and you'll see that he – and not even the Ravens. Like if he plays –
Broncos schedule.
But I'm going to move past this. It just is annoying to sit there and listen to them immediately jump back. And this is the announcers. The same announcers have been talking shit on him all last week. They're like, oh, he doesn't have a long ball. Oh, this and this and this. And then they're like, oh, it's old Peyton. He's back. He's the same. It's like, I just want to see one out route that goes deep and he scores with. Like, but he's just like, here's 20 yards. Here's this. And that's smart on his
That's what
part.
Brady does too.
No, and that's the thing is I get that. But Brady, and I've always said this about Brady, you have to get up and bump those guys. The Steelers won Brady last year. How? By bumping the guys and making it so he can't just check down to Wes Welker all day. Like, these quarterbacks, you can't let a quarterback win off a reputation is all I'm saying. It's not just Peyton Manning, but Peyton Manning's the one I'm picking on this particular scenario.
Yeah, there's not a lot of defenses going against the Broncos now that are going to be Patriots, Chargers, Saints, Bengals.
Yeah. They do play the Ravens on December 16th, but I don't know. They don't. Yeah, they have a lot of easy games coming up. Like,
yeah, they had some tough ones at first, which is why he looked so bad against Atlanta.
Yeah, they're playing the Patriots next week, I guess, which the Patriots don't have a great cover the receivers defense, but they do have a coach that won't just let them win off of the same damn play over and over again. And I understand the Raiders coach is young and this is his first year, but it hasn't just been them. It's been even the Texans last week. They knew they had the game, so they let him do that all day and just cover deep. But still, get up and make plays. Don't let a guy rack up yards on you and make you look like you're a worse defense than you are. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just hard to stomach, like, the fact that he's looking so good while not doing anything.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't watch a lot of that game, so I don't know why Oakland looked so bad, but
No, but it wasn't just that. It was just, they had a lot of things that they could have, like, they challenged this one and they didn't get it, and then the next one was obviously a first down and they marked it wrong, and then they didn't challenge that one, and then after that one they just went downhill. They just couldn't get anything going. But the Raiders are the Raiders, though. They self-destruct. All right, but moving on. My third disappointment is the Jets against the 49ers. The 49ers have a great defense, don't get me wrong, but they did nothing on them. Nothing.
they looked awful.
Yeah, they threw for a total of 112 yards and 1 interception, no touchdowns. Well, obviously they had no touchdowns because they had no
0
points in the whole game. And they ran for a pathetic 45 yards on 17 carries. And two of those carries were Tebow, which were he got 0 on 2. So even the 49ers can even stop Tebow, and that's news to me because I didn't think anyone could stop Tebow. But yeah, the 49ers
That is a
made
good
them look
point.
dumb.
I think Tebow was just rusty. He would have, otherwise he would have came out and single-handedly won the game. He's coming out. He's gonna.
Yeah.
They're gonna start throwing him in there. No, that's the thing, is their running game is awful. Did they play a lot of the Powell or
They just didn't run a
McKnight
whole lot.
They moved to a cornerback,
Yeah, well, they didn't run a whole lot. Like they just
and Sean Green's awful.
yeah. And then let's see. My fourth disappointment of the week is the Giants defense against a quarterback who does nothing but get sacked and have turnovers. He had no turnovers in the game, and he only had two. They only got 2 sacks on Vic, and both the sacks were basically running plays that just broke down. So he just went to the ground rather than getting himself destroyed.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Like that's the thing is they need, and obviously the Eagles have had problems with their line, or they wouldn't have been like Vic got destroyed against the Cardinals the week before, and that's the thing is I will give the Eagles credit. They did have a little bit of issues in the first half, and then they switched over and they started chipping down from the corners and bringing back people to cover, to block a little bit more, and gave Vic time. And Vic, he didn't look extraordinary, but he looked a lot better. And he also went back to being smart Vic. Like he had a couple plays where he was able to scramble the pocket,
Yeah,
and he got just
few
enough to
runs.
get the first down and get out of bounds. And that's what you want to see from Vic.
They gave the ball to McCoy a lot.
And McCoy,
Macklin
insane.
did nothing.
McCoy will have a play that's going this way. He'll see it break down, and he literally will just switch back and go. And it's like people
He is so
like,
talented.
there's
There's a
very-
reason he's
he-
one of my favorite. He's one of my favorite running backs. So when that guy said that he traded Chris Johnson and Ryan Williams for him, I was just stoked.
He is
because
Chris Johnson 2 years ago. That's who he
He
is.
so good. And they showed a few replays on during that game of McCoy, and it was just like, holy cow! Like you said, just these incredible cuts.
Yeah,
It
if it
just
breaks
like,
down,
it
he
breaks
finds
down. He
a
just
hole
cuts
somewhere
and
else.
just. He's incredible.
Yeah, I love Shady McCoy.
Shady.
Yeah,
And they kept calling him that too, which was awesome
Yeah,
during the
he-
game.
well, he's so quick and he's so smart because that's the thing is
Yeah,
he can see it open up and he just gets over there. Yeah, he's awesome. And all right, we're gonna move to my fifth disappointment of the week, and this is really sad for me because I kind of like them, but the Saints are done. They can't win games. The Packers gave them more than one opportunity on Sunday. Even the refs, yes, the real refs gave them an opportunity because Sproles fumbled it on a kick return, and they missed the call. Well, they missed the call because they went down. There was a big scramble trying to get the ball, and they're like, he was down by contact, and you could see from the replay that he obviously wasn't. But yeah, they can't do anything, and that's the thing is I don't think they're gonna go 2-14 or anything like that. But they're not. You don't plan on seeing them in the playoffs this year. Like the Saints,
they have a tough schedule,
yeah, they're playing the Chargers. The Chargers. Chargers have looked solid.
and that'll be a primetime game. So
Yeah.
that one will be nice to kind of really get a look at what they.
And that's the thing is, it's not their offense; it's their defense. You cannot make up for how bad their defense has been. I understand Bountygate. I understand Vilma's out. I understand all these different things, but you have to be able to pick up people on to replace those guys. Like they just they look like shit. Like it's ridiculous out there. And that's the
Yeah,
thing
they
is,
look
like
really
Eric was
bad.
saying, yeah, they're playing the Chargers on. Is it the Thursday? No, it's the Monday night
It's
game.
the Sunday night, I think.
The
again.
Sunday night game, and then they're playing the Buccaneers. The Buccaneers defense hasn't looked bad, and their offense actually hasn't looked bad either. And
The
then they're
Broncos,
playing the Broncos, and then the Eagles
Falcons,
is
those,
which-
all three of those are going to be.
and they're playing the Raiders. You know, after yesterday, the Raiders know how to get in a quarterback's head, and then they're playing the 49ers,
Falcons again, which is brutal.
yeah, and then they have a tough schedule,
Yeah,
and that's the
they
thing.
do.
The Falcons, that's their division this year.
Yeah,
Falcons are 14-2. Like they look so good. All right, and then yeah, it's just sad because the Saints are so good, and Drew Brees is my favorite quarterback in the league. I don't care who you are. Drew Brees is. If you don't like Drew Brees, you have a problem with yourself. That's what I say. Drew Brees is awesome.
he's a good guy.
Yeah, he's a great guy, and he's a better quarterback. Like it's insane.
I agree.
I'm
A little-
weirdly fired up today. I don't know
Yeah,
why.
you are. I could tell. I am a little disappointed you didn't put the Rams in your surprises at all. But maybe it's because you weren't surprised.
Wasn't a
by
surprise. Rams are that
how-
good.
Seahawks. I did not see that one coming. I don't think we're going to talk about it.
Karma.
Here. It was good. It
Karma.
was a good game.
After that game against the Packers, a little bit of karma for the Seahawks.
All right, so we'll move over to our pickups, put downs, and watchovers. These are the people you should pick up on the waiver wire. These are the people that you should put down. Either drop them, trade them,
Or just
You don't-
talk shit on them.
just talk shit.
Put them down.
Just make fun of them. And the watchovers. These are people you should watch. Maybe don't pick them up yet unless you really need them, but they kind of keep them on your radar. In Yahoo, you can put a little flag next to them on your watch list.
And then you can watch them get taken. So if you want a guy, get him.
That's a good point. So my number one pickup is Jackie Battle. We were talking about him in the pre-show. Looks really good. I liked him last year when he played in Kansas City. He had a few games. Looked pretty good. Ryan Matthews does not look good.
He fumbled not this last game, but the game before. And then
And they didn't like it.
I hate Norv, but I respect this move because he's like, if you're going to fumble, you're going to sit on the bench. And I respect that because that shows Battle. He's like, you have an opportunity if you don't make mistakes. And Battle's definitely not making mistakes.
So if you're a Ryan Matthews owner, I would definitely pick up Battle. If you're not, and you have a spot for him, I'd pick him up. He's 20% owned. My number 2 is Scott Chandler. He's 28% owned. Fitzpatrick is definitely looking for him a lot. I mean, end zone, he's the only guy they're going to every time. And it's kind of, I think maybe he's trying to be like Gronk, which I'm cool with.
Yeah.
Big tight end, getting in the end zone, just going up over everybody and getting the ball. And he looked good last year, too. And Sean mentioned on the Thursday podcast, if anyone listened, because I've been kind of down on Scott Chandler. I told people not to pick him up, and Fitzpatrick, because they'd have these really good games last year, but then they would have awful games. But Sean mentioned on the last one that Fitzpatrick had an injury last year, kind of played through it, and that's kind of why they dropped off at the end.
And yeah, they looked way better. And they didn't have a running game on Sunday at all, and they still managed to put up 28. And
Yeah.
the Patriots put up 52, so obviously they weren't really in the game after a point. But when you don't have any running game to speak of, it's hard to pass. That's just how it is.
Yeah, it was. I went to him a lot.
Yeah.
My number 3 is James Jones, 31%. Like we talked about with Jennings' injury, it's not just a new injury; it's re-aggravating an old injury, and they set him back a few weeks, which means Jennings might be out 2 or 3 weeks. Jordy hasn't done a whole lot. James Jones has actually
he had a good
looked
game on
really
Sunday. Not just James Jones, but Jordy. But that's the thing is, Jordy number 1. Sometimes it's hard for him, and then also James Jones and Cobb and Driver are all kind of going for that second spot when Jennings is out because they're all playing a decent amount. So yeah, I think that's a good call. Like get Jones.
Yeah, I'd pick him up, 31% owned. Especially with Jennings' injury, I think he has a really good chance to do well. My number 4 pickup, which I'm the most excited about, is Greg Zuerlein.
Zuerlein.
Oh, Greg the Leg, as we like to call him.
him.
He's the second highest kicker as far as fantasy points, which is a huge deal. He's 12 for 12, which is crazy, and 3 of those are past 50 yards. I mean, he has not missed. I mean, when they got rid of Josh Brown, I was so depressed because I really like Josh Brown.
And Josh Brown was solid.
He was a funny guy. He was in a Jackass. I think it was 3D. I think where he kicked the ball right into one of them.
Yeah, I
I
can't
think
remember
Johnny
which one.
Knoxville, I think. And just a funny, just cool guy. He posts funny stuff all the time on Twitter. And so I was really depressed when they got rid of him. But Zuerlein's the man. So if you need a kicker, which a few of you may.
And
he's
the Rams have
9%
trouble
owned.
putting it away, so he's going to kick a lot of field goals.
Every freaking game. They cannot get it. I mean, that's why they won. Because Zuerlein kicked 3 field goals, I think. And they were long ones, too. I mean, there were some where it's like, all right, get out there. We couldn't even get it in our area of the field.
Yeah.
And he's like, don't worry.
So I got this.
You don't even need it. All you need is me.
He
Just
does
go
this.
ahead
He's
and-
like, I'm good. I got this.
So he's incredible. Pick him up. And my number 5 is Ryan Fitzpatrick, 47% owned. Like Sean talked about last year, he had an injury, but I loved him last year until he started being awful.
And he has big games, which is
He
good.
does. He definitely has the potential to have just these huge games. And so in a 2-quarterback league, I feel like you have to play him. If your flex has a quarterback, which most don't, he'd be a good one to put in. Pick him up anyway. Bye weeks are coming up. So as far as my put downs, like I said, some of these are trades. My first one is Jermichael Finley. Definitely an amazing trade. I think you could get a lot for him. And all these tight ends are coming up right now. I mean, there's a lot of tight ends like Kyle Rudolph, Scott Chandler.
Pitta.
Pitta did not have a game, though, on Thursday.
Yeah, but he'll bounce back.
Yeah, they're still going to look for him. But there's all these guys that I think are a lot better than Jermichael Finley. So don't drop him. I think you can get something out of him. Go ahead and trade him. My number 2 is CJ Spiller. This is another one that I think you can definitely trade. 95% owned. Some people probably disagree with me on this one. But there's a few things. Number 1, Spiller fumbled in the end zone. They pretty much, they were at the 1-yard line, which is never good. But the other thing is they were talking about it during the game, and I can't remember who it was, but a bunch of people on the team are talking about how Fred Jackson is the heart and soul of the team, how he's the one that everyone looks up to. He's kind of the leader of the Bills as far as the offense goes, and it's not very good. Because Spiller, I mean, he has kind of proven himself, but I think unless something really bad happens to Fred Jackson, I think he's going to be that number 2. So if you have him, I think you could get a really, really good trade for him, which is the main reason I put him here, is because I think you could get one of them really good players for him right now. So
Yeah, we got to do it soon because if Fred Jackson starts this next game and does
And
well
he
and
will.
Spiller
He
doesn't
started
see a
this
lot of
game.
action, then people are going to...
he's not injured,
Football
which is
players,
good.
especially running back stock, will go from here to here with no problem at all. Like that's kind of how it goes when you're a running back in the NFL. People are high on you, then they're low on you.
And it was mainly that line, the heart and soul of the team, and the fact that they started Fred Jackson. I mean, they didn't even think twice about it. Spiller was the number 2 in that game, so they started Fred Jackson. So
Spiller did go down like he had been killed in the game before when he got injured, and then the next day he's like, "Oh, I'm good, I'm fine. It wasn't that big of an injury." It's like, okay, Spiller, you dropped like someone shot you, like we thought a rifle was in the audience. Like, really, you're good? So that doesn't help,
guy.
in my opinion, anyways.
It's hilarious. At number 3 is Sean Green, 83% owned. Looks terrible. I would drop him.
I
don't
give
think
a
you can get anything.
to that. Dude.
That's our new rating system.
Yeah, is there
So when I name someone, you'll just give them a ugh or
Yeah.
what's the other one?
an uck or a oh?
I
How
like
about
it.
that?
How many of them?
I don't know. And if it's in the middle, I'm like, meh.
Okay,
All right.
I like it. I would drop. I don't think you can even get anything for him. Just throw him away. My number 4 is Antonio Gates. I think you can trade him as well. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's the Chargers offense or what. But Gates hasn't looked good in a while.
He's getting old, and
He
he
still has
keeps
that-
getting hurt.
But he still has that where it's like, oh, Gates. Oh, yeah.
Well, he was so good a couple years ago,
So
and that's
you
the thing
can
with
trade
these
him
guys.
for some value and pick up someone like a Scott Chandler or
Yeah.
a Kyle Rudolph or a Martellus Bennett who, I mean, you can trade that across and get someone really good along with him, and people think you're crazy.
Yeah, well, here's the thing. Here's a quick tip for fantasy players. If you are playing fantasy football, erase your memory from anything prior to this season. Because here's the problem. Antonio Gates, people are keeping him because he's Antonio Gates. That's
Yep.
all it is. They're gonna keep him. They're gonna have a hard time getting rid of a guy like Antonio Gates. But he isn't doing good, so get rid of him. It's like Calvin Johnson. In Week 14, if Calvin Johnson has had a consistent year like he's had so far with not doing well, people still aren't going to trade him or anything because it's Calvin Johnson. Erase your memory of anything that's happened before this year and go off of that.
Yep. And my number 5 is Isaac Redman. He's only 39% owned. I honestly thought he'd be higher than that. But Mendenhall's back, so I don't think he's worth anything at this point. The watchovers will go over real quick. My number one, like Sean talked about, Minnesota defense, 7% owned. Just in general, Minnesota's looked good, and I looked them up. They're the third highest in fantasy points. Arizona, Houston, Minnesota. So
they have
as
a
much
great
as we've
pass
talked
rush
about,
and a great, they do really well against the run.
yeah, as much as we've talked about Arizona, Atlanta, and all these other ones, Minnesota actually is definitely up there. My number two is T.Y. Hilton. The Colts are coming back from a bye week. They should be rested, and
There's no
Luck-
Cauley. Cauley's gone.
Cauley's gone, and Luck looks for him a lot. And yeah, Cauley is a big part of why I think T.Y. Hilton could be an actual legitimate player, maybe in a flex especially. My number three is Brian Hartline, 20% owned. Everyone's kind of been wondering who that wide receiver in Miami is going to be, and people have even thought it was going to be Hartline for a while now, and he hasn't really stepped up. But in that game, against a really good defense, Tannehill threw to him a lot, and
he's their only deep threat.
Yeah, he's their
Without
deep guy. He
Marshall
goes
now,
deep.
he's their only deep guy.
so someone there is going to step up. And
And Bess
at least be
hasn't
a
looked bad
starter.
either. Not to throw that in there, but I think
Yeah.
Bess is pretty decent too.
But yeah, these are watchovers. These are ones you keep an eye on. Pick them up if you need them. Andre Roberts, 10% owned. Arizona. Cobb looks really good. What is
Yeah,
the deal? I don't.
I
He figured it out or something. But yeah, Andre Roberts had a really big game. 10% owned. He'll be that number two. Well, so while Fitz is double covered, he'll be definitely maybe someone that Cobb's going to be looking for. And my other one is Brandon Bolden, who Sean also talked about. 7% owned on New England. There's lots of running backs in New England, so it's kind of
It's hard to say that they'll
kinda
do
scary.
the
I
same
think
thing
Ridley-
any week.
I think Ridley will be the number one, and then they also have Woodhead and everything else. So I don't know if you can trust him, but definitely watch over because he had a really good game. So there we go.
All right, awesome. And I'm just gonna zoom through this
Yeah,
because
we're
we're kind of
running
running
out
out
of
of time.
We didn't have a lot of questions though, so it's good.
Yeah, this is our week 4 fantasy leaders. The number one, and we're gonna start with quarterbacks. Number one is Tom Brady with 32 points. Cam Newton is number 2 with 31.2 points. Drew Brees is number 3 with 29.84 points. Number 4 is Aaron Rodgers with 29.06 points. Ryan Fitzpatrick is number 5 with 27.4. And me and Eric kind of talked about this a little bit. It's
Yeah.
awesome to see a top 5 list that looks like a top 5 list. Those are quarterbacks
Brady,
that should
Brees,
be up there.
Rodgers.
And if you watched the last week's Thursday one, I said that RG3 would be out of the top 5, and he is.
Oh.
So even though he had a good game, I knew. I knew.
Yeah, you did say he would have a bad game, but yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah.
I like it.
All right, and then the running backs, fan points, number 1 is Michael Turner with
player.
23.1 points. And then
You
Stephen
just shake
Ridley.
your head. No?
Yeah, Stephen Ridley with
There it
22.6
is.
points. Yep. Jamal Charles with 21.5 points. Marshawn Lynch with 21.5 points. And Brandon Bolden with 20.8
Wow.
points. Yeah, both those New England guys
We're
killing
both
it.
in the top 5. Yeah.
And let's see. All right, and wide receivers, top 5. Number 1 is Brian Hartline with 31.3 points. Number 2 is Roddy White with 28.9 points. Number 3, like Eric just talked about in the watchovers, is Andre Roberts, who had 23.8 points. Number 4 is Colston, who had 21.3 points. Number 5, who has been in the top 5 pretty regular, is A.J. Green, who was just looking
Looks
great
so
this season.
good.
Yeah.
It is just crazy. It's like every time I turn on the TV, it's Dalton throwing a touchdown pass to AJ Green, a
Yeah,
huge
he
one.
just kills it.
And I'm like, why is this always on my TV?
Yeah, and he had
I don't know why.
17.7 points. Yeah, and
I don't have it recorded. It's just always on
he's just always scoring touchdowns with A.J. Green.
all the time.
Yeah. And then the
Every
tight
day.
ends, top 5 tight ends, we got Scott Chandler as number 1 with 18.2 points. Number 2 is Rob Gronkowski, 15.4 points. Number 3 is Greg Olson with 14.9 points.
It's nice.
Yeah,
Cam's
he's doing
using
really
him.
good.
Yeah, Cam's using him a lot.
And then number 4 is Owen Daniels with 13.2 points. And number 5 is Mercedes Lewis with 9.2 points.
Nice. I'd like to see Mercedes Lewis come back up. He looked really good that first week.
And yeah, and then he kind of dropped off, and now he's looking good again.
Yeah.
So yeah. And then the kickers, number 1 we have Greg the Leg
Greg the Leg.
with 18 points. Number
Awesome
2
name.
we have Phil Dawson with 16 points. Number 3 we have Matt Prater also with 16 points. Number 4 Connor Barth with 15 points. And number 5, we have Nick Novak with 15 points as well. And then the defenses numbers were insane. But there's here's the top 5 defenses. Number 1, San Francisco 49ers with 29 points.
Which is good. We had someone ask us last week, should I start the 49ers or Arizona? And I was like, stick with the 49ers. Like, they had a bad week. Arizona's looked really good, but stick with them. And Arizona is not here.
Yep.
And the 49ers are number 1. So
That's a good call there. And then number 2, we have the Houston Texans with 23 points.
I don't know how the 49ers got more. Well, the Jets didn't score.
Yeah. And then
But
and
The Texans did incredible. It seemed like every time I was turning on the TV, it was them running back an interception.
yeah,
from
they
pick
killed
6.
it.
Every time I turned on the TV, why am I turning on the TV so much? It was
Yeah, why is
on.
your TV always off? TV's just always off. You're just turning it on. When you leave a room, you turn off all television sets. So I
actually
like that.
turned it off and
Saving
turned
energy.
It on a lot.
Eric's going green over here while watching football. It's like commercials. I got to turn this off.
Good Zone doesn't have commercials.
Oh, yeah, my bad. All right, and number 3 is Minnesota Vikings, like you said, with 23 points. Number 4 is San Diego Chargers with 21 points. And then
Wow.
tied at number 5, we got the Bengals and the Patriots, both at 14
The
points.
Patriots a legitimate defense in this league?
I don't know.
Will Fork is a stud.
The thing is the Patriots always get points, and it's because they score enough on you that you have to throw it, and then they can just set back and wait for interceptions. So
Yeah,
I would say
Fitzpatrick
they've
throws
been up
a lot
there.
of interceptions.
Yeah, he
though.
does. All right, and then it looks like we only have a couple minutes, so we're just gonna go over a couple questions. There's a pretty common one we're getting a decent amount because it's right before the Monday night game. There's not a whole lot of legitimate questions for this week yet, but one we've kind of seen a lot is, should you start Michael Bush or Forte tonight against the
Yeah.
Cowboys? And I don't know about you, Eric, but I say you got to go with Bush
I agree.
because he's the goal line guy. They're going to give him the goal line touches, and Forte is great, but it seems like they might be rushing him back, and so he could come in for 3 plays, get hit really hard, or get hit in that injured area of his body, and then leave for the rest of the game. So I would say to be safe, you got to go with Bush.
Yeah, and he's the goal line person anyway. Even when they're both healthy, he's the goal line guy. So the fact that there's that chance that he can always get you that touchdown is a plus, even if Forte is playing. And with him possibly, yeah, you don't want Forte to come in and then immediately get sat again. That's just, it's brutal. You don't want Forte to come in and get you 0.4 points and
Yeah.
then just sit on the bench the whole time, where you're just sitting there watching the game being like, please come in.
Yeah, and the Bears are going to run as much as they can too, so they can get their passing lanes open. Because the Cowboys, like we've been saying this whole year, have a legitimate pass defense. Like they can get it up there and defend the ball.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, we didn't have a lot of questions, and we went a little long anyway. So, all right.
All right, cool. All right, thanks for joining us. We'll be back again Thursday. So send us all your questions you have for the upcoming week to our Twitter at Fantasy Top 5. Or you can also get us, you can email us at info@fantasytop5.com.
Yep.
Or you can also just go to www.fantasytop5.com and you can comment us on there
Yeah,
or
ask
ask
a
us questions
question.
on there. And all of those are 5 spelled out Five, not the number. So yeah, thanks for joining us. Have a great Monday Night Football game.
Peace.
Out.